So there are these things that unfortunately pass for human. Let's call them pissheads or goblins. To which I can only say, I take a goblin slayer stance, which is the only good goblin is one that doesn't crawl out of their hole. But these goblins, they like to destroy and ruin the things we love. Now, I am not a Warhammer fan. I will say this up front. I'm getting into the lore now because I watch a lot of channels that talk about lore, like Film Comics Explain. He's done a video today, as of recording, about the Chaos Gods, to which I will say, even gods may die. So I'm getting into the lore. It is interesting. It's also kind of funny. Like, the Imperium of Man is a bit like Trump. They make for good memes. Like, eat bolt gun and even gods may die is probably my favorite line. There's also, this is heresy. Or heretic. Or, like, they use words that you probably would never think to have heard since the Dark Ages. I love everything about it. It's funny. So, but I do hear of people complain about it, to which I can only say to them, eat bolt gun. Well, that's one thing I want to say. The other thing I want to say is fuck off, but like, these pissheads, they are known for ruining things. Like, I've been talking to this guy, Troubled Cat. We talk sometimes, every couple of days, and one thing he told me was they've been trying to ruin it for a while. Like, they got rid of Arch, who was like the lore master, and they accused him of racism because, or I think they did, or Warhammer did, or Games Workshop did, but all he said was he wasn't for diversity. Now, that does not connote racism. Or I believe that's what he said. That does not connote racism. What it connotes is that he doesn't like the fact of this diversity dipshittery has ruined a lot of stuff. It's ruined comics in America, or it's trying to. So it's basically doing what Mark Waid is secretly jerking off to the idea of. And yeah, it's stupid. It's ruining video games, although that could also be attributed to the fact of the activists. There's not enough room for the activists in Hollywood now, so they have to find greener pastures. But so these are the same dipshits who are ruining everything, and yeah, they do have no place in Warhammer because the things they say about it, like they say that the Imperium of Man is intolerant or a hate group or Nazis. No, motherfucker. No, I will paraphrase Carl Benjamin on this. The Imperium of Man is not racist or prejudiced or in any way. As long as you are human, they do not care what your race is. Now, they may be speciest, which I'm all for, considering what some of these species do. Like, look at the Tau. I used to think they were okay, till I found out they were snipping you or making you sterile secretly. But you got them, you got the Eldar, who do unspeakable things to people that I do not care to repeat on this video, or this audio. If you want to know what they do, go ask a Warhammer fan. It's either the Eldar or the Dark Eldar. They do something to people, and sometimes in front of their loved ones, I might add, that really makes you want to blow your head off at the thought of. And they do it in excess, too. Like they could just do like one horrible thing a day, and they would probably be, like, this is something Troubled Cat told me today. They could just do it once a day, and they would be, or once every couple of days, and they would be fun. But no, they do it in excess. So there's them. You've got the Tyranids who want to eat everything. Like, the Imperium of Man, they exist in a very hostile galaxy where everyone is being thrown into a meat grinder of warfare. Like, take the Great War in terms of carnage, turned up to 11. That is the world of 40K. And that's not even getting to the fantasy aspect of it, which I've played more of, like Necromunda, the hired gun game. I played that one. It was fun. I need to get back to playing it at some point. But anyway, yeah, it's just, like, it's kind of like how I once heard It's a Gundam describe fantasy in Japan, or dark fantasy. Imagine where everything is akin to Gantaro Dim. That is 40K, but worse. Actually, no, 40K is worse than Gantaro Dim. Like, you got one eldritch being that can fuck you up. Like, Gantaro Dim was like the crawling chaos. 40K is filled with multiple crawling chaoses. And if you don't know what that is, he's a character from Lovecraftian mythos. Just roll it. Just roll it. So, you exist in this galaxy where you have everything and its mother trying to kill you. So it's a bit like Australia back when Ned Kelly was still alive, and probably today also, but anyway. You have to adapt or die. That is what the Imperium of Man is. It has adapted to the times it lives in. I'm assuming that when things cool down, they themselves will cool down, but it's possible things will never cool down. Because it's believed they live in the darkest of times. The darkest of times, the worst of times. And yeah, I'm all for defending 40K from these weirdos, these goblins, because they're a bit like the orcs. They like to destroy everything. Actually, no, scratch that. Orcs like to take loot and some other stuff. I'm still getting into the lore. But again, we treat these people like we should treat goblins. There is no negotiation. Win or lose, go big or go home. Actually, know if you run into goblins, you don't really go home. You have unspeakable things done to you. But anyway, yeah, it's just these are people who have no lives. They are losers, and I mean this factually, not judgmentally. They are losers. You see this in the way they act. If you had a real life, you would not be going out of your way to ruin hobbies that people have enjoyed for decades and was inclusive from the beginning. Like, people say this about Warhammer. They've said this about video games, said it was not inclusive enough to people. I did not have a problem with women or black people when I played video games. If you played a video game, I did not care what your race or creed or gender or what was between your legs. If you liked something I liked, you were free to talk, basically. Like, I would talk to you all day and night. If that's also part of the argument, then it is also bullshit, because it's always been bullshit. Like, these are Anita Sarkeesians who, again, have no lives to do, and they get off on ruining things. Like, they're like people who, like gun grabbers, they get off on ruining things people enjoy. The only difference is gun grabbers get off on taking away people's rights. These people who are ruining stuff, I imagine they also get off on taking away people's rights, but that's unimportant. And the universe of Warhammer, it is interesting. If you have not read anything of it, and I'm assuming most of the dipshits who bitch about it have not read a thing of it a damn bit in their life, then I highly recommend reading up on it. It is fascinating, especially considering it's now gone woke. It is going woke, and God help us. There was one thing I was kind of hoping it wouldn't go woke, because it looked like it was made for people who weren't pussies. Turns out the people who run it are themselves pussies. And again, they've gotten rid of lore masters like Arch, who I think Carl Benjamin actually had on a video where they were talking about an article where they were saying, where the article was basically saying the Space Marines aren't the best of people. No, they're not. They're not. Everyone in the Warhammer Galaxy, they are not good people. But it's like being back in the Dark Ages. There is no good guy. Like, that's asking me that's like saying to me the Saracens were the innocent people. No, they weren't. They did some fucked up shit back then. I would say, but it might get me in trouble. Like, Christians did some fucked up shit too. Don't get me wrong. Even the ones today are insufferable some days. And I say this as a Christian. Some of them were insufferable cunts. Some of them still are. And again, Christian, but I have no problem saying this up front. They could be intolerant sometimes. And still can be. So, like, that is Warhammer. It is like, there is no good guy for the most part. I would rather, now, if you told me I had to align with a faction in this universe, I would say the Space Marines. All day, every day. Because they may not be perfect, but unlike the Tau, they're not commies. Unlike the Tyranids, they don't want to eat everything. The Eldar, they don't want to do unspeakable things to. And unlike the Chaos Gods, who are confusing as hell, they're pretty straightforward on what they want. The only downside to the Imperium of Man is this. It is kind of like religion back in the day. So if you say anything against the God Emperor, who is funny because it turns out he actually used to be an atheist before he was put on that immortal throne. So they have literally made an atheist into a god. There's a morbid, weird kind of humor in that. I just don't know how to word it properly. I can't. It's too funny. I don't know how to articulate that point. I really can't articulate it properly. Better men than me have to do that. But, and here's the thing. There are issues to take umbrage with Warhammer. It's just not the whole inclusivity bullshit. Now, if you want to say they've stolen a lot of shit, that I can get behind. Like, the whole chaos and order thing, like the Chaos Gods, that I'm pretty sure that was taken from Elric. Like, Warhammer is just taking a bunch of shit and cramming it together, and somehow it just works. Unlike Fallout 76. And, yeah, those are just my thoughts on the matter. It's just, this is stupid. Stop being dumb. Actually, no, the people who want to ruin this, I expect them to be dumb. They are retards. They are from Retardville. I will bet you a lot of these people are from California, the bastion of retardedness. And pissheads, but anyway. Those are just my thoughts. If you're a Warhammer fan, let me know. Correct me if I've butchered some of the lore, because it's more than possible I have. But, and I don't remember the whole situation with Arch. I just talked to Trolled Cat about it again today, but I was kind of remembering some stuff he said to me, which is always fun. I enjoy talking to him and people in general. But anyway, yeah, have a nice day. Remember, the game was rigged from the start, and for the Emperor.